Myles Garrett might be a blue cheese guy, but that does not mean he should be a Buffalo Bill. On February 3rd, Garrett officially requested a trade from the Browns, sparking speculation about his next destination. Now, naturally, he's now being linked to nearly every contending team in the NFL, including the Bills. And I hear the arguments. Yes, the Bills need another high-end pass rusher. Yes, Garrett is one of the league's most dominant defensive players. And yes, he's a generational talent. Let's take a quick look at the numbers courtesy of Pro Football Reference. Over 117 games, which is 8 seasons of Garrett's career, Garrett has racked up 102.5 sacks, 250 solo tackles, 20 forced fumbles. That averages out to about 0.87 sacks and 2.14 solo tackles per game. Elite production. But here's the problem. The Bills are already projected to be about $14 million over the 2025 salary cap. Acquiring Garrett wouldn't just require clearing massive cap space, it would likely cost a significant amount of draft capital and or a high-end Bills player like Greg Rousseau. Another factor, NFL teams generally avoid trading superstar players within the same conference. That's to minimize the chances of facing them in the playoffs. If the Browns do trade Garrett, they likely prefer an NFC team over the Bills. There's no doubt Garrett is an incredible player, and in my eyes, a future Hall of Famer. But this situation gives me Von Miller vibes, and not in a good way. And I'll admit, recency bias is at play there. Von Miller was 33 when the Bills signed him, while Garrett is only 29. A big difference in football years. Still, the idea of parting with a player like Greg Rousseau or another key player just to make that trade work, and probably a bunch of draft capital, makes this feel too unrealistic. Plus, the Bills have bigger priorities like rebuilding the secondary and possibly extending James Cook, which I have a lot of thoughts about. That's probably for another video. The only way this really works, if the Browns completely lose leverage, which they kind of already have, and are forced to offload Garrett for pennies on the dollar. If Brandon Beane can pull off a miracle, trust me, I'm all for it. Just make it make sense, and I'd love to see Myles Garrett in Buffalo. But as of right now, it's just not realistic. For context, here are the latest betting odds via DraftKings. Commanders plus 50, Eagles plus 500, Browns plus 550, Bills plus 550. The Bills have the same odds of landing Garrett as the Browns do of keeping him, which tells you everything. While the idea is enticing, it remains more of a dream than an actual possibility. So the real question is, will the Bills take a blockbuster swing, or will they pursue more realistic options to strengthen the roster? We're trying new things in the offseason. This is one of them. So if you did like this type of content, please leave a like down below. Share it on social media, tell your friends, your family, your everyone, and please consider subscribing so you do not miss out on any Bills content this offseason. We're about to go crazy this offseason, so stay tuned. Thank you. Go Bills.
Get your hands on stylish t-shirts, hoodies, and more at wearbuff.com. That's WEARBUF.com. And make sure to use the promo code TWB at checkout for 20% off your first order. Stay Buffalo proud with Wear Buff.